And it all starts with security. So with ShareGate, we have a very easy to understand, all-encompassing, consolidated view of all of your workspaces in Microsoft 365. Your team site, your teams, your communication sites, who's part of these workspaces, what kind of external sharing is taking place in that, what activity is taking place in those workspaces. No need to get lost in all of these admin centers. We give you all the visibility that you need. And I want to remind you, it's not about removing control from users. It is about granting you the right automation, the right visibility, so that you can understand what is going on and then change your strategy, change your governance to meet the reality of your users and the policies of your organization. So, for example, let's say you have a sprawling tenant with maybe thousands of teams, and you would like to see which teams were created over 6 months ago that have not been used since then and that have external sharing links, and of those, which ones of those teams have sensitive data. Well, you can absolutely do that with ShareGate. You don't need to find a needle in a haystack. You can use our filters to really break it down to exactly what your use case is, and then either manually take action on those if you wish, safeguarding that content while removing the teams, promoting users to owners so that you can collaborate with them. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but it all starts with visibility, because what you don't know, you can't safeguard. So we grant you as much as you need to take the right actions. And we allow you to do this without adding more manual work, more PowerShell scripts, more Power Automate on top of your shoulders. We have a very insightful cost calculator that's available on ShareGate.com that allows you to understand, based on the number of users that you have and the state of your tenant, how much it could potentially cost you and lost productivity from trying to build a manual machine so that you can meet those challenges of governance that you have. So with ShareGate, it's all ready to go. You connect, you grant consent, ShareGate crawls through your environment, and you can start taking action and setting those automated policies into place. It's as easy as can be. And the way that we do this is through policies. So ShareGate has 4 big policies that allow you to automate the process of governing your tenant. Inactivity detection allows you to understand which workspaces are not being used anymore. External sharing review allows you to understand where the external sharing is taking place in your environment, as well as guests being granted access to the tenant. And we have purpose and sensitivity tags, allowing you to label your workspaces in an automated fashion to understand why they exist, what is their purpose, how are they being used, but also how sensitive is the data that is found in those workspaces. And those two, the purpose and sensitivity tags, will modulate the settings of the team, also changing the frequency at which the automation will trigger, so that maybe you can have a more frequent checkup on teams that have a specific purpose or sensitivity that is a little bit more sensitive. But the best part about those policies is it's not just, all right, well, every month I'm going to look at these teams and then I'm going to give a report to the IT admin and say, hey, IT admin, here are your teams. Go clean it up. That's just not the solution, because if you have thousands of teams and thousands of users and you have tickets to handle every day, you just don't have time to do these things. But not only that, between you and I, you're just not the right person. And I don't mean you're not the right person in that you don't have the skill set to do it, but you don't have the time and the information to make the best call. And the person that can make the best call is the owner of that workspace. If I, Sam, as an end user, create a team and I collaborate with my colleagues, and then down the road, maybe a month from now, we're not using it anymore, how are you supposed to know how we work, or to what extent the content there needs to remain there, maybe for external parties to have access to it? Nobody wants to be the IT admin that kills an external sharing link just before a partner gives a presentation that could secure, a giant deal. So you want to interact with the users and the owners and have them take action on those things. And that is exactly what ShareGate does. We collaborate with owners in an automated fashion. So ShareGate will reach out to the owners and say, hey, this team appears to be unused. What's going on? And then that owner can respond to ShareGate either through email or through the chatbot that is directly in Teams and decide what to do with their team. I'm still using it. Leave me alone. We're not using this at all. This was a test. I can delete it. Or you know what? I'm not using it anymore, but the content is still relevant. So let's archive it. And that process of archiving archives the team and its channels and its conversations and its content. And all of that can be hosted in ShareGate's Azure storage, if you wish, at no extra cost. So let's break that down. You have thousands of teams with content in all of them, content that could be required for auditing purposes down the road. Find these teams in an automated fashion that are inactive. So let's say overnight, we allow you to eliminate 30% of those teams. It makes for a much more productive environment and easier to understand tenant for users. And we take all of the content, we safeguard it so that you're not risking your content just for the process of your governance strategy. And we hold it for you. We make it accessible directly through the app. Even after your license expires, you can still fetch that content. And all of that at absolutely no extra cost. It's a real game changer. And when we start talking about AI and Copilot and all of these large language models that need to understand what is relevant in your tenant to provide your users with the right results, you just can't have sprawling content. You need to take that content out of where it is and make sure it becomes inaccessible to Copilot so that only the right things show up. And that's exactly what that can help you do. Astrid, who we talked about earlier, shared her thoughts. I literally click one button and it sends all those people an email or a message in Teams, and I can sit back and I can watch it unfold right in front of me. Yes, you can trigger it manually, but again, if you automate it, it'll happen without you needing to trigger it. Another partner of ours shared their thoughts. Information security is very important to our organization. And before, it was almost impossible to find all these sharing links. And now it's a scheduled review and everybody takes it seriously. And I want to stress this. From what we've seen in our own metrics of how our users use ShareGate, 85% of inactive teams that are not being used anymore, are actually actioned by owners. Owners are saying, I'm using this, or I'm not using it, go ahead and archive it, not IT. So sure, there's still 15% of them that you need to manually take action on, but imagine how much time it'll save you. But we know that external sharing links are where a major security risk is. So for that, 99%, that's right, I know it sounds like a fake number, but it is real. 99% of external sharing links in an org are actually actioned by users. So what that means is that you may have a perception that users are not going to play ball. They're too busy. They don't understand the tech. They don't understand the need or the importance. But when you have the right solution in place that meets your users where they work, in their inbox, directly in Teams, thanks to a chatbot, well, they don't have an excuse and they understand. And as long as you're making it as simple as possible, people want to help. People want to be collaborative. And that's really what that ShareGate experience is all about. It's about meeting people where they are and making it as easy as possible. And finally, ensuring a productive and secure environment for everyone means creating the right things the right way from the get-go. Inevitably, you'll have some cleanup to do with your tenant when you first deploy ShareGate. But what about the future? What about scaling that to what's coming? Well, with ShareGate's provisioning capabilities, we allow you to create templates so that users can create their workspaces the right way, with the right channels and the right configurations for the site in the back end and the right labels applied so that from the moment they just start working, all of that heavy lifting of understanding and setting up that governance strategy is already taken care of. That's really the way to safeguard and to foolproof your strategy for years to come. So there's a lot of settings that you can enforce with our provisioning templates, how many team owners are going to be required, a naming convention. There's even approval workflows. And I want to touch on that a little bit more. It's not a multi-level approval flow. And it is not about getting IT to approve a team. It's about getting the right people to approve the creation of a workspace. So let's say someone in marketing wants to use the marketing external project template to collaborate with their colleagues on an external project with external partners. Well, sure, you could receive that request as an IT admin, but who are you to know if this person should be working on that and whether or not there's not already another team that's relevant to that project? How about actually choosing your champion in the marketing team or the manager or the director of the marketing team and having them approve the creation of that workspace directly in Teams? That's what ShareGate can do. So you can have that safety net, but you don't need to be the person that handles that. And when things get approved, of course, we'll give you all that visibility so that you can go back and validate the actions that were taken. And of course, we have an end user app. As I mentioned many times, we meet users where they are. So sure, we have our Teams chatbot that will poke users directly in Teams, but they need to have a place to actually access all of the bells and whistles that we mentioned. So you can very easily pin an end user app to Teams for all of you users. No extra licensing. It's not a per user approach. There's no login required for them. They don't even need to download it manually. You go in the Teams admin center, you pin it for everyone, Bob's your uncle, they're good to go. And if they need to create a workspace, if they need to approve the creation of a workspace because they're an approver, review their external sharing links and guests, they can do all of that from the end user app. It meets them exactly where they're working.